The Georgia Southern Eagles rout the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for the Armada Team of the Week later in the episode. All right, ODU pulling away from the Ragin Cajuns as we begin the recording. It'll be final by the time we get to it. And so far, the tourney is chalk. There hasn't been one upset. So far, the higher seed has won. And I don't think today either of the teams lost because they were tired. I think both better teams won is what happened. Let's start off with Georgia Southern and Southern Miss. The final in this ball game was 78-64. Oddly enough, it wasn't Georgia Southern bombing away from threes. They were only 5-19 from three. Southern Miss actually made one more three, 6-22. And this game actually moved rather quickly. There weren't a whole lot of free throws. The two teams combined for a grand total of 25 free throws. A lot of times, each team can be shooting 25 free throws. Georgia Southern was 9 of 13, and were they all in the second half? They were all in the second half. Southern Miss was a grand total of 10-12. But Georgia Southern just could not miss. They shot 52% from the floor, 32 of 61, and the scoring was rather even. Banks with 16, Brown with 14, Bradley Douglas off the bench with 14, White with 14, Holliman with 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in double figures. All right. Southern Miss, Denaje Harris, 14 points on 6 of 11 shooting. Was not in foul trouble. Alfred Warrell Jr., who had such a great night a couple of nights ago, 12 points. He did foul out. Again, just 12 points, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. Watson had 11 points, but Georgia Southern really controlled this ball game. They actually started to pull away in the first half, 33-24 at halftime, and it was never really close in the second half. Southern Miss never really did get close in the second half. How close did they get? Let's see here. It got out to a 19-point lead 4 minutes in, 45-26. Let's see here. It got down to 10 at one point in time, 50-40. And I feel like that was about it. It just never got close. And I don't think it had anything to do with one team was fresh and one team wasn't. I think Georgia Southern played better. We knew Southern Miss was coming in off of the win, but prior to that, they had lost 8 straight ball games. So, and maybe I had underestimated, not paying attention as much as I should have, to Georgia Southern, because remember, they started last year, and we've certainly harped on this. They started out 0-12 last year. And I think they finished. Did they finish 12-19? What did they finish? Oh, they finished 9-24 last year. 9-24. Okay. Last season. They're now 17-15. That's quite the turnaround. Right? That's almost 100% more wins. They get one more win against Georgia State. That's 100% more wins. Now, they didn't contend this year. And let's not pretend that they were a contender in the Sun Belt this year. They really were not. They were never in that upper echelon of the conference. And, the basketball is not split east-west, although it sort of is. They play everybody on that side of the conference twice, and then on the other side once. But that's a heck of a job by Charlie Henry, right? That's a pretty good job. I didn't realize how many wins they actually have. 17-15 to go from 0-12 and to 9-24 to 17-15, and 9-24 is the end of 0-12 to 17-15. That's pretty good. All right. Again, there's not a whole lot of time for slow builds. I'll talk about my orange. There's really no reason for Adrian Autry to come back. And the only reason he's coming back is because of the recruiting class he's coming back. I don't think he's that good of a coach. There has not been an improvement this year. In fact, it's going the other way. I kind of like what Georgia Southern's been doing. All right. I'm impressed. And so, you get a couple more guys, right? You're going to have to get some transfer portal. And Sunbelt is always going to have to you're either going to have to, do the Richie Riley thing, go get some under-recruited lower division guys, or you're going to have to get some guys that are willing to sit for a year or two, if that's the case, and recruit some high school guys that are ready to come in there and play, when their body matures. All right. I mean, you got already, Rick Pitino says, we're not we got we got 3 guys that are leaving that have been playing college ball for a long time. High school freshmen can't replace them. So they got to go get portal guys. So we'll see if next year, Georgia Southern can contend. That's what I would think that they would want to be in that upper echelon of the conference. And that's not going to be easy. We'll see where the Cajuns are at that point in time. We'll see. Going to be a lot of turnover with Arkansas State. We'll see among the players we know about. We'll see where the coach is. We'll see what JMU is looking like, what Marshall is looking like. There's a lot of turnover nowadays in college basketball, but that's a great job by Georgia Southern. And they certainly have a shot against Georgia State. That's got to be a toss-up, right? I don't think that's a huge, it's going to be a huge upset. They have won 3 in a row. They did beat Georgia State 76-75 on the 28th of February. And they did lose to them in overtime, 82-78. So they played 2 tough ball games against their rival. No. Is it their rival in basketball? Because in football, we know App State's the real rival. No. All right. Anyways, Georgia Southern with an impressive win over Southern Miss. Final score 78-64. Georgia State and Georgia Southern play 5 p.m. Central Time today. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, ODU pulls away from the Ragin Cajuns in the second half. We'll talk about that ball game when we come back after I tell you about Nissan. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College Basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From top-seeded starts to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcased the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada and clear-cut Team of the Week are the Houston Cougars. Since joining the Big 12 last season, the Cougars have gone to combine 33-4 in conference games, winning the regular season title by multiple games both years. There is no team in college basketball more capably embodies the rugged Armada than Calvin Sampson's squad. Houston's tenacious defense leads the nation in fewest points allowed per game for the second straight season. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Houston Cougars have done here. It's clear that our team of the week is out here ready to conquer the road with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of the Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Cajuns with that come from ahead victory yesterday over ULM. Again, I don't think they ran out of gas. ODU pulls away in the second half, 67-49. I just happen to think that Old Dominion played better. This ball game was relatively close in the first half. ODU, I think, pulled away a little bit, 29-23 at the end of the first half. And again, I just think it was it all ODU in the second half? I think the second half of the second half, it was all ODU because it seemed to be between about 4 or 5 points. The Cajuns did tie it up at 38, but that may have been the last time they tied it up. It went from 38-38 to 54-44. So that's a 16-6 run for ODU. All right. So they pulled away after that. And I don't think it got much. It didn't get any closer than that, as they did pull away from a 67-49 victory. And again, it's just been chalk. We'll get to that here at the end. I think the Cajuns did what they could this year in terms of what happened with the coach losing his job and the players all leaving. We'll see who their coach is. Miami hired an assistant coach from Duke, and we have 2 job openings, and now both their seasons are done. ULM has a job opening, and the Cajuns have a job opening. We'll see if anybody else has a job opening as we move forward. Going over the box score, Sean Durugordon had a Sean Durugordon night. My goodness, 21 points, 7 of 15 shooting, 10 rebounds. Swanton-Rodgers had a big ball game. Caelum Swanton-Rodger, goodness gracious, 18 points, 10 rebounds. If you eventually got the streaming, we had a little bit of technical difficulty with the streaming. Did not come on until about 7.5 minutes to go in the first half. The color analyst Victor was telling us just keep on going inside because the Cajuns didn't have an answer because they don't have a big guy. And Swanton-Rodgers was the compliment. Ricky Davis Jr. With 10 points. Robert Davis Jr. With 10 points, 3 and 9 shooting, only 2 of 6 from 3. Again, this game was not close. ODU shot 46%. The Cajuns shot 35%. And again, I just don't think that this was a case of, the Cajuns' legs being tired, right? And ODU's legs being fresh. Both teams did kind of pull away towards the end of the second half, but I don't think that was the case in terms of, there was one more game, right? The other team's fresh. They've played another game. I can see if it was multiple ball games, but I just don't think that's the case. I think both Georgia Southern and ODU played better. That's what I think. And statistically, it's going to show that. Akil had 22 points, very good for the Cajuns. He's their all everything. I think it's Michael Thomas with 14 points. They're the only 2 in double figures, and they had 36 of the 49 points. Kentrell Garnett, I think he's the Cajuns' all-time leading games played player, and he was 1 of 8 from the floor, 0 of 4 from 3. That's what teams are going to key on. They're not going to allow him to shoot, and they did not. He had a total of 2 points, and it's going to be tough to win when, basically your 1 3-point shooter is limited to a couple of points. And so ODU, let's see if ODU can can do some damage. That was one of the teams that I wouldn't be surprised on because they do have a little bit of offensive firepower. They're one of the few teams that I think has it if they get it going. They can be very tough, although it's very odd because they only have usually two guys. It's usually Durugordon and Robert Davis Jr., although now Swanton-Rodger had a big ball game. Anytime you can get compliment from the two guys, that's obviously going to be very helpful. But they can light up the scoreboard. They did it against South Alabama. South Alabama had all kinds of issues in that ball game, and that was in Mobile. ODU did not finish the way they would have liked, but now they have new life. Obviously, for them to make a huge run is going to be incredibly daunting. But maybe you can. They've won one ball game, all right, and we'll do it in the next section. But maybe they can win another because they have that ability. Let me see how many guys played tonight. They didn't play that many guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 guys played. Here's the problem. All those starters played 30 minutes or more. That's a problem, right? And I don't know why that's the case. That's not great because it wasn't a very close game. Durugordon played 38 minutes. Robert Davis Jr. played 37 minutes. Swanton-Rodger played 34 minutes. I mean, everyone's playing 33. All the starters played 33 or more minutes. Not great if you're playing a tournament. They obviously, it feels like Mike Jones went into this game. We're going to win this game. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I need to win this one. I mean, this game just wasn't close. With 7.5 minutes to go, it was a 10-point ball game. I mean, what are we doing? With 7:13 to go, it was 60-42. And with I'm looking at the wrong game. Hold on. Hold on. I mean, what are we doing here? It was an 8-point game with 8.5 minutes to go, 10-point game with 5.5 minutes to go, 12-point game with 5 minutes to go, 14-point game with 4.5 minutes to go. You can start to rotate these guys out. That's going to be a problem looking at the minutes. That may be an issue. And so maybe we'll talk about that next. So far, the tournament is chalk. All right. So we will do that after my usual place where I thank everybody. All right. So again, thank you. We're up over 1,880 subscribers. I think we're at 81. It's very interesting making the shorts and seeing everybody else do it. We're on social media all the time, and the shorts are catching on a day or two late. So it's interesting on how they get caught up in the algorithm. Should South Alabama have been conference champions, that got caught up into it. And then Matt Stewart and my preview got caught up in it. And it is interesting to see on how that works. I don't know how it works. I just like watching it when it does. So appreciate it. Thank you so much. And continue to do so. Also, I did see App State started spring football. Again, we'll see when we got to send out the emails. May have some time today to do that. We may not be quite as busy at work. So I may be able to shoot out some emails. See if we can set up some times. I have Saturday and Wednesday off. So we might actually head down to Nashville for a SEC tournament. Donate me just a day or two. I do have some time. I have to take off. We don't want to lose those days off. So do appreciate it. Please subscribe. It is it's a big help. And again, we'll be concentrating on baseball and spring football. It just started. So looking forward to talking to the football coaches. Hopefully we can get that done. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's see if I got this. Since the tournament is chalk, Let's see if I have it in here. I may have it in here. Oh, I do. There is the tournament. That's not the up-to-date bracket, but we can figure it out. So Old Dominion is going to play Texas State. So we know that. And Georgia Southern is going to play Georgia State. All right. So we'll find out if Texas State is all about being in San Marcos or not, because, who wants to play Texas State after coming away with two huge victories in the last 10 days or so? South Alabama and JMU, they are riding high. I mean, why wouldn't you go into this tournament, as they've had a great run in this tournament for the last couple of years? As Matt Stewart pointed out, why not us, despite having to win all that many games? But why couldn't we win a couple of ball games? All right, so that should be a really good basketball game, ODU, Texas State. And that may be one of the more high scoring ones, because Texas State can get up and down the court as well. Although they only gave up 49 points, that may be more of an offensively challenged team than Old Dominion's defensive effort per se, but a good one nonetheless. I would presume ODU and Texas State put up a lot of points later on tonight. That'll be the second ball game. And then you got Georgia Southern taking on Georgia State. And that'll be interesting. Georgia State's coach could be on the hot seat. We'll see. The winner of that game is taking on Marshall, and I think Marshall is in line to potentially win it. All right. But the problem is, interestingly enough, the betting favorite coming into the tournament was Arkansas State, which I don't know if that's just because they were the preseason favorite or what the case is. Remember, those odds are set, and they were still set as the betting favorite. I don't know. Be honest with you, I don't know if they still are. I'm not sure what would have changed because no one's played yet in terms of those top 4 or 5 teams. But when the betting odds came out, Arkansas State was like plus 175 and South Alabama was plus 200. So I found that interesting. Despite South Alabama beating them twice, very difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. Now, having said that, the Cajuns just did that with ULM. I understand that ULM's not that good. I would contend that the Cajuns are not that good. So they beat somebody on their level for the 3rd time this year. You would think that, Arkansas State, while, waiting to go down to Pensacola, and I would presume they would go probably tomorrow or later today. They're probably traveling today, so they would have a day, and then they want to be able to watch. They want to be able to watch Marshall and Georgia State, or they want to watch that ball game. They want to watch the Marshall game live, and so they'll be there for that, I would presume. And so then you can, break down film for that one, but also figure out on what they're doing wrong against South Alabama. All right. Neither of those games were close. I think the second game was closer, but that was only because South Alabama didn't make free throws. That would have been a double-digit victory. We've talked about that. And the first game was closer because Arkansas State got hot. That was much more of a 20-point game than a 10-point game, although I think the final deficit was 12. Final margin was 12. And on the other side, again, I think we have a good ball game. I think that game could go either way. I think both these games could go either way. I don't have a big feeling on either one, Georgia Southern or Georgia State, and I don't have a big feeling ODU or Texas State. I thought ODU could make a move, but then coming into the tournament, I was like, who wants to play Texas State? So I think it could go either way. It has gone chalk so far, but I don't happen to think that's because the legs were tired. That's just me. I think the other teams played better in both instances. Let me see. We've only had the one instance. Yeah. So it's only been the one night. So we will see if that's the case moving forward. I didn't really hear any post-game press conference. Again, I have not seen that to be the case. Didn't look that way, like they got tired or they ran out of gas. I think the other teams just played better. That's what I think. So we shall see if that is the case moving forward. Again, we had some technical difficulties tonight. One would think, because it goes from Pensacola to New Orleans to Connecticut, that's an issue. Because all the broadcasting equipment is in New Orleans, so they're going back and forth there, and then they got to get it to Connecticut and get it out to the rest of us. How we most all of us missed most of the first half between the Cajuns and ODU is really unfortunate. Now, there have been times on ESPN Plus, baseball games, softball games, the games are changed the day before. Maybe even day of. And maybe you can't do anything about that. Here the game was not changed. And you would think that someone would be able to flip a switch. So I don't know what happened. A little bit disappointing. It was a good game to begin with. It was a good game. ODU was, from what I saw, in control the whole time. But we did miss it. And I know Keith Gill has said, well, we built it, so we're going to use it. It's still a little bit disappointing that your broadcasters are not in the gym for the championship or for the tournament. That seems to be a waste. I don't know how much money you're saving by not doing that. If that's better for cross country, if it's better for golf, if it's better for other sports, okay. But it's not better for basketball. It's just not. You need to be in the arena, because there's certain things you can see when you're at the game that you just can't see. You can't get those explanations from the officials for whatever reason. They need to be there. So I don't know if it was because, I don't know why. Also, I'm not sure why it needs to be 40 minutes in between games. It can't just be 30 for those of us who have to get up in the morning. Like that Southern Miss Georgia Southern game was over fast, and we were still using all of 40 minutes. I don't know why we need that. That's a different problem. That may be more about a me thing. But the rest of us were suffering by not being able to watch TV, and that was disappointing. So we're paying for it. We should get it, and that was disappointing. So it probably has nothing to do with the transmitting from Pensacola to New Orleans to Connecticut. That doesn't change the fact that they should be live. All right. That's not a Matt Stewart decision by any means. It's not saving money. It probably would be just as cheap to be in Pensacola. I'm guessing. I don't know. Getting a hotel room, near the French Quarter ain't cheap either. And, they've been there. And he's been there since Monday. That's Lundi Gras. And Tuesday was Mardi Gras. Hotel rooms were not cheap. Just saying. So, anyways. But we got to watch the second half, and ODU fans were very happy with that. That's for sure. All right. So we got Texas State and ODU. That's game number 2. And we got the Georgias. We got Georgia Southern and Georgia State going at it. All right. We will have a full recap for I just forget what day of the week it is for Friday's show. We will try to do one, might as well, for Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, regardless of when my days off are. No reason not to keep on doing this, following the whole tournament and having extra episodes. Why not? All right. Have a great Thursday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Friday. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day,